Just basically we're going to be showing you a quick presentation, basically detailing the differences in comparison to other products that are being sold in the United States. Mainly either acrylic or silicones. Our product is made of 100% polyurethane. So this will explain that to you guys. And again, thank you for coming out. And also, we have the pleasure of having the owners of the manufacturers of the Lava 20 system. So welcome, guys. And if you guys have any questions later on or anything, you're welcome to ask them any questions. Okay, so here you go.
So I hope you enjoyed the short presentation there. And if you have any questions, feel free to fire them at me. You know? So I can give it a quick, summary of everything. Basically, this membrane is just a very versatile waterproofing system, and it can be used on a whole host of applications. We listed a lot of the regular stuff here, so you're obviously your flat roofs, sloped roofs, different types of surfaces, asphalt, concrete, metal, single ply, etc. But you'll find you'll also kind of be able to solve unusual jobs with it and things that require a waterproofing system but with durability and anti-slip. For example, you could have chemical storage buns and stuff like this, unusual applications. So it's nice to have a solution or a system in your armory that can basically, solve problems that a lot of other products out there won't be able to solve.
If you see it dirty, you definitely don't want to, work on something like this. You want to clean it, make sure it's dry, but, this is just a training. And you're going to wait maybe around 10 to 15 minutes for it to dry. Now, a way you can tell whether it's dry or not is by touching it, feeling it. It's still sticky, it's not completely dry. You can also tell in the color whether it's dry or not. You want to make sure it's fully dry. If it's not dry by 15 minutes, please wait a little longer, because otherwise, as Vincent was explaining earlier, it does have gases, and if you start putting the lava material before it's completely dry, then those bubbling start to pop up, okay? The spray, squeegeed, or rolled, we typically use a roller. You're going to want to have, some of these available, some extra ones. As you can see, throughout while you're doing the job, they're going to start deteriorating, and when they start getting pretty nasty, you want to go ahead and use a new one. Also, between each coat and each layer of product, you're going to want to use a new roller cover as well. So guys, you noticed here, you want to start maybe about 2 feet from the last, where you last ended up, so that when you put more, you have enough space to kind of spread it out. Because if you're too close to where you were before, then this puddling starts to occur, and you're using too much material. Like I mentioned before, less is more. Before, but it was on plywood. So he started with the primer on the plywood, and he said, well, I remember using a little bit more than I'm using here. And he goes, that makes perfect sense, because the plywood will absorb some of that product. Right, so you kind of have to adjust depending on the substrate. It looks different than the dry, so you're starting to see the color differences. Even I myself might have used a little bit too much here, but you can see now it's beginning to dry. So you see the wet versus the dry areas. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to the detail while this dries. So the detail is what we discussed earlier, is the fabric, like the fiberglass fabric embedded into the lava system already, mainly for drains and vents, pedestals, those type of things. Alright, so we're going to be showing you exactly how you have to stir it up. You have to be very careful because it's not like regular paint. You're gonna see like on top it's gonna be kind of fluid, and then at the bottom is where that fabric is kind of laying underneath, right? So you could do one of two things. Like you could like keep it upside down until you're ready to use it, and then flip it over, or you can make sure and grab that stuff from underneath and mix it in really, really well. You're gonna see the fabric, you're gonna take notice, you know, it comes, at first it's a bit clumpy, and then once you stir it up enough, it'll start to mix in with the rest of the fluidy liquid. You want to, when you're doing a penetration, in this case, a vent, you're going to want to start from the top to the bottom, right? And very important, do not put catalysts on this, okay? No catalyst needed. Do start off light on the top, because otherwise it's going to start dripping down. So, and then you go a little heavier at the bottom, and then once it starts to cure and harden a little bit, then you retouch the top again and give it more product. So if it's a new construction, the PVC has like these oils, so you want to scarify it and put primer before you do the. You just dip it in like you would normally like paint if you're painting something. You want to almost like use it as a scoop and scoop up that fiber. About an inch, or rather a foot and a quarter or so around that penetration, around that vent, around that drain, and then. So look, you want to do this. You want to scoop it up, right?
Look how he
So imagine, so if you were to be doing this like with just the lava and putting fleas here, in like let's say a seam or an edge, you want to make sure you go thick and you cover those seams. You're gonna start mixing it. That white is gonna continue to pop up. Or you gotta keep mixing it until it's a solid gray color. Is now. You know, you have several options, right? So is the weather gonna be good, or you're kind of in a jam? You have to fit this within a window. Like that, these are all factors that you have to take into consideration. Now, typically, this would, let's say during the winter, maybe fall, this will last probably between 4 and 6 hours for it to cure using the catalyst, the activator. However, with how hot it is and how humid it is, it will probably take about 45 minutes to an hour before it starts hardening, right? So if you have a bucket this size, you have, let's say, 100 square feet to cover. By the time you get to like 50 square feet, you're going to have problems because it's going to start to harden. And then you're going to rush, and that's when mistakes happen. So what I would suggest is either not use catalyst at all, or if you are, use it on the second coat of lava and not the first. So you would do one coat of lava, put the fleas down, wait a little while for it to cure, and then add the activator, and then use the activator with the second coat of lava. And that will cure it very, very quickly. Another option that you have, as Vincent had mentioned, is that you could put the catalyst from the beginning, put all of the catalyst, instead of doing 2 coats, do one really heavy coat. And then put the fleas over that one heavy coat. Now make sure the fleas is completely submerged so that the product, so it sucks up all that product. And so it should not be visible, it should be completely covered. So you're going to want to, you know, as evidently you pour it in, you're going to keep mixing it in until it completely disappears. Okay, so you're gonna lay out the product, then you wanna lay the fleece over that product, and then go over it once more. We're still on the first coat. Right here, that's good enough, so we can move on to the next section. And then by the time he reaches the end, this will already be cured enough where you can go ahead and start the second color. Sin embargo, no, there's no need to overlay, so it goes right next to one another. So it's about 4 feet wide, and you want to go next to one another. You don't want to overlay.
Give you a bit of a guide.